Welcome to Werezilla's Retrospective. I'm your host, Werezilla. Star Wars is a cultural phenomenon that is known by everyone on the face of the planet. Ever since 1977, when A New Hope was released, Star Wars has gone through quite a shift in tone, and its creator, George Lucas, is not the same filmmaker he used to be. Many people started to notice the change in tone, starting with the re-release in the 90s. Hot shot first. But, to be fair, that was just a warning for what was to come. The announcement of a prequel trilogy excited many fans, but they were very disappointed when the first entry in the trilogy, The Phantom Menace, for obvious reasons.
Now stay here, and keep out of trouble.
Hello, boyos. How woo?
You'll find what you need.
Don't touch anything.
Misa hating crunching. That's the last thing Misa want. Misa don't have a booba.
Yeah, take me this one. Lisa.
Hit the nose. I was glad to meet you too. Has anybody ever seen a pod race? I'm the only human who can do it. I'll try spinning. That's a good trick.
Yeah, people were not impressed. But being a trilogy, it has to have a dark middle movie. But while the original trilogy did this well with Empire Strikes Back, the best movie in the entire series, the prequel trilogy gives us Attack of the Clones. And does it live up to Empire? Well, I guess there's only one way to find out. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, this is the opening to the Turbo movie. What was that? Oh, right, this belongs in Star Wars. Anyway, it explains that thousands of star systems are leaving the Galactic Republic and joining the separatist movement led by a guy named Count Dooku. I'm sure glad they explained all that about people we've never met before and don't care about. It further explains that Senator Amidala is on her way to a Senate meeting to discuss creating an army for the Republic to counter the separatist threat. Wait, what? The primary government of the galaxy doesn't have its own army? What kind of sense does that make? I guess these guys from thousands of years ago weren't official soldiers. Padme Amidala's ship lands on Coruscant, though Captain Typho, R2-D2, and Padme herself arrived in separate ships.
I guess I was wrong. There was no danger at all.
Oh crap, I spoke too soon! Padme's double dies from the explosion, though I question why she still has a double since she's no longer queen. Of course, no longer being queen implies she was voted into an office someone has to be born into. Space politics is weird. Several Jedi speak with Chancellor Palpatine about the rebel scum, the separatists.
If they do break away,
I will not let this republic that has stood for 1,000 years be split in two.
1,000 years. Bring up a Star Wars timeline. Thank you. Let's see, and yep, that's what I thought. The Republic was formed 25,000 years before the events of this movie. George Lucas doesn't know how continuity works, does he? Padme, Senator Organa, and several other senators they didn't bother to name show up and what the fuck? Jar Jar Binks? What's he doing in the crowd? Who let this illiterate, annoying stereotype on the set? Anyway, Palpatine continues to insist that Padme needs Jedi protection. Gee, that doesn't sound suspicious at all. Eventually, Padme gives in, despite Yoda, Mace, and Organa's objections. We cut to Obi-Wan and Anakin in an elevator to meet Padme. Naturally, Anakin still has the hots for Padme, the woman who is 6 years older than him, and someone he has met only once before. Though, to be fair, she is played by Natalie Portman, so maybe that's the best explanation. Great, it's Jar Jar again. Maybe his 10 years in politics has made his dialogue a little more coherent and less annoying.
Obi? Obi! Misa so smiling to see in your side.
Obi-Wan and Anakin meet with Padme and Typho, and we get to see Anakin attempt at smooth-talking Padme.
Annie? My goodness, you've grown.
So have you. Grown more beautiful, I mean. Well, for a senator, I mean.
Yep, I'm pretty sure that's the reaction most women would have. Anakin continues to be obnoxious by arguing with Obi-Wan about their mission of protecting Padme, not after the meeting, but in front of her.
We will not go through this exercise again, Anakin, and you will pay attention to my lead.
Why?
What?
Why else do you think we were assigned to her if not to find the killer? Protection is a job for local security, not Jedi. It's overkill, Master. Investigation is implied in our mandate.
We will do exactly as the Council has instructed. And you will learn your place, young one.
What? Another scene with Jar Jar? Cut him out of the movie already, will you? Anakin admits to Jar Jar that he has thought of Padme every day since they last saw each other. Really? Every day for 10 years? Hate to break it to you, Anakin, but that's not love, that's obsession. For God's sake. You knew her for like a week when you were 9. Later that night, an assassin named Zam Wesell talks to her employer about how she failed to kill Padme, so he gives her some CGI bugs to finish the job. Anakin tells Obi-Wan he turned off the cameras in Padme's room to give her some privacy. What? Who cares about privacy? Assassins are trying to kill her. For God's sake, that'll make it easier for an assassin to do this.
Requiescat in pace.
And wouldn't you know it, a probe droid sends the CGI bugs into the room. R2 clearly sees them, but does nothing to try to stop them. The Jedi sense the bugs, and Anakin manages to slice them up with his lightsaber without even hitting Padme, with the weapon that can slice through anything. Obi-Wan jumps out after the droid in order to find out where it's going, but the problem with this idea is that flying after someone with a sniper rifle could end pretty badly. Hey look, I was totally right. Anakin manages to catch Obi-Wan, and they fly around the CGI city after Zam. Oh, and once again, Anakin manages to say something stupid.
You spent as much time practicing your saber techniques as you do your wit you would rival Master Yoda as a swordsman.
I thought I already did.
He thinks he's a better swordsman than Yoda. Anakin just insulted 2 movies at the same time. I'll give you a wild guess as to which ones they were. Instead of doing the smart thing and following Zam, Anakin drives his speeder in another direction, claiming to know a shortcut. And wouldn't you know it, they lose her. So he jumps out of the speeder into the blue screen? Whatever you say. He catches up with Zam and stupidly loses his lightsaber. Zam crashes her speeder on the street and absolutely no one reacts to it. At least when Greedo was killed in New Hope, the people in Cantina reacted, even if they didn't really give a shit. As they follow Zam into the nightclub, Obi-Wan decides to do some unsubtle foreshadowing.
Why do I get the feeling you're going to be the death of me?
Don't say that, Master. You're the closest thing I have to a father.
Then why don't you listen to me?
I am trying.
Speaking of stupid things, Zam decides to sneak up on Obi-Wan and shoot him, not from a distance like earlier, but directly behind the guy who can sense what's going to happen before it does. Gee, what could possibly go wrong? The 2 Jedi interrogate her and discover that a bounty hunter had hired her, but before they can get anything else, said bounty hunter kills her with a toxic dart. The Jedi Council assigns Obi-Wan to locate the bounty hunter, while Anakin is told to bring Padme back to her home planet and protect her. Does the Jedi Council do anything in these movies? Every time, and it's not just in this movie. They're always just sitting around and sending off Obi-Wan and Anakin. It's like no other Jedi gets to do anything in this series. Anakin talks to Palpatine so he can convince her to go to Naboo. Palpatine continues to stroke his ego by saying how powerful he is, blah blah. Next scene! Obi-Wan and Mace meet in front of a blue screen, the hallways of the Jedi Temple, talking about Anakin and how important he is, blah blah blah. Next fucking scene! Anakin meets with Padme as she's packing her things for the trip back to Naboo. However, instead of being smooth in order to win her affection, he decides to complain about Obi-Wan.
He won't let me move on.
That must be frustrating.
It's worse. He's overly critical. He never listens. He doesn't understand. It's not fair.
What's especially sad is despite Padme looking at him pathetically the entire time, he still gives her an obsessed expression. Get over the fucking crush you had on her when you were 9! Obi-Wan and Typho see Anakin and Padme off, who of course bring R2 with them. Frankly, I feel sorry for R2. He's gonna have to sit through the lesser of the two plots in this movie.
Anakin, don't do anything without first consulting either myself or the Council.
Well, given how well he's listened to you so far in the movie, I doubt he will do either. Naturally, Obi-Wan and Typho have as much confidence in them as I do.
I do hope he doesn't try anything foolish.
I'd be more concerned about her doing something than him.
Obi-Wan talks to an old friend, Dexter Jexter, to figure out where the Toxic Dark comes from. I honestly wished I cared, but seeing as this character was never mentioned before and will never appear again outside of a comic book series that I got bored with, I have no reason to. All he does is exposit the dark comes from the planet Kamino. He checks into the Jedi archives to find the system, but it's missing from the archives.
If an item does not appear in our records, it does not exist.
Wow. Jocasta Nu is kind of a bitch. Anakin, Padme, and R2 stop for a bite to eat.
Hey, you, no droids.
You're a droid, glitchhead! Anakin yet again tries to get Padme's attention by showing off Jedi wisdom. It seems to be working until this exchange.
You've changed so much.
You haven't changed a bit. You're exactly the way I remember you in my dreams.
Okay, we've gone from obsession to stalker territory. Obi-Wan goes to see Yoda to get advice about Kamino. Of course, he did so while Yoda was in the middle of training young Jedi, so Yoda decides to make fun of him for interrupting his class.
Lost a planet, Master Obi-Wan has. How embarrassing. How embarrassing.
Okay, that was actually pretty funny. But on a more serious note, aren't these kids a little young to be training with lightsabers? If a little kid was given a lightsaber and blindfolded, they would most likely run around the room swinging the damn thing in every conceivable direction. And even if they did have enough self-control to stand still, they would still have to be in a much larger room to avoid causing accidental amputations. Anyway, Obi-Wan brings up a holo map of the galaxy, pointing out where Kamino should be, but doesn't appear on the map. Then Lucas decides to use the worst possible take he could have used.
Master? Because someone erased it from the archive memory.
You could tell this kid just memorized the line and didn't really try anything else. Back with Anakin and Padme, they meet with the new Queen of Naboo and her advisors, one of whom says something incredibly stupid.
It's unthinkable. There hasn't been a full-scale war since the formation of the Republic.
Anakin probably snaps at Padme for calling him a Padawan in front of the others, and I love the Queen's reaction the most. The Jedi assigned this loser to protect Padme? She is so screwed. Obi-Wan arrives at Kamino, where apparently the locals were expecting him. I find it hilarious that Obi-Wan doesn't know what Kamino's Prime Minister is talking about, yet the guy doesn't realize Obi-Wan's oblivious reactions. The Prime Minister explains that they are creating a clone army for the Republic and think Obi-Wan's here to check on their progress. Obi-Wan basically just says fuck it and goes along. We then get a painful scene between Anakin and Padme, where, despite everything Anakin has done up to this point, despite how repulsed Padme has shown to be by him, they fucking kiss.
What the? Hello? Establish a relationship. Create some attachment between these two. In every single scene we've seen up to this point, Padme has shown complete disgust at Anakin in every scene.
Apparently all of that didn't occur to her until after the kiss, as she shuns him away like any sane woman would. Obi-Wan gets to see the army of clones the Kaminoans are creating. And by the way, Obi-Wan is the only thing in this entire scene that isn't a CG effect. Lucas has officially gone way overboard with this. The Prime Minister explains that the clones are all based on a bounty hunter named Jango Fett. Jango Fett. What's the connection between Boba Fett from the original trilogy?
Boba, is your father here?
Oh, I see now. He's Boba Fett's father. What does that contribute to Star Wars again?
Nothing! Absolutely nothing!
Obi-Wan speaks with Jango about the clones, who is so unsettled he might as well have "I am a villain working for Dooku," written on a t-shirt in bright colors. Fortunately, Obi-Wan realizes this as well, telling Yoda and Mace about Jango and the clone army. The two council members order Obi-Wan to bring Jango in for questioning. Yoda and Mace are naturally confused as to why they didn't know about the army sooner, and instead of assuming what virtually anyone else in the universe could have assumed, that being they live in a large galaxy, so of course they're not going to know every single event going on to be public knowledge, but that their ability to use the Force is diminished. Gotta say, that's a pretty big leap, don't you say? Obi-Wan runs to Jango wearing his son's future armor, and they have a brief struggle. But it turns out to be completely pointless as Jango and Boba get away. Thankfully for Obi-Wan, he manages to put a tracker on the Slave One. Yes, that's really the Slave One. Still has no significance to the plot, it's just fan service. In fact, all this scene really needed to be was Obi-Wan throwing the tracking device on the Slave One as it escaped. There really was no need for a fight, even if it was an alright, but that doesn't change how pointless it is.